We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the work session for June the 4th, 2024 for the City of Nelson. And I'll go ahead and say a quick prayer here. Father God, we just thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for allowing us to be part of it, to be leaders in this community. Father God, we ask that you would lead, guide, and direct our decisions tonight. Father, be with us, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. So I want to do the pledge, Jess.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our planned revisions by Mr. Michael Kidd. Thank you for joining us tonight. Agenda approval first. I want to rush right ahead. Can I get a motion to approve the work session agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Seconded by James Queen. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. All right. Our plan revision. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate you. I know you guys have been busy working and moving and all this stuff, but I appreciate you making this a priority. Thank you.
Yeah, we got moved into our new office, so we're excited about that. All right, so essentially what we've got, we sent this to y'all to look at initially. So we've got 3 different versions of this plan, essentially kind of a low-end, medium, and high-end version of the plan. Very similar components, but we wanted to look at, what could we do for the least amount of money and still have a nice park versus if we were going to really blow this thing out, what would that look like as well. So just orientation real quick, School Street down here on the bottom, Council Avenue, City Hall's up this way. Obviously right through the middle of this property, you've got that stream which has a 50-foot buffer on it. So that's a big chunk right through the middle that we can't really do much with. We can clean that up so that it looks better, but we can't do a whole lot of development inside that.
I think we have that down as phase 4, which is after the next.
For doing cleanup?
Yeah, for cleaning up, getting rid of the dead trees, rip-wrapping and cleaning all that out, so it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so from there, we had a couple of these elements in the original concept where we were just focusing on this lower half of the park. We've talked about doing a pavilion, about doing pickleball courts, some sort of sports courts in the park. So we're still looking at doing that. We also think it's still important to have an accessible route down from School Street to get down to this level. These are the existing stairs that are there where the old lodge used to be. So that's a significant grade change by the time we get down here. So we need a pretty long run to have an accessible sidewalk to get down there without having steps. In this plan, we looked at keeping a portion of the existing basketball court that's there now. The outline of the court goes all the way out to here. So that whole piece was the existing court. We're looking at keeping about a 25% of that, roughly 30% of that for a pavilion structure, so that you've already got a slab essentially, put the pavilion on top of it. That's pretty easy to do, and just remove the rest of the asphalt. Then reusing the slab from the old lodge building to put a pickleball court on that existing slab there. So the slab's already there. We can clean it up, put a topping, sports court topping on it, and stripe that for pickleball. So you have one pickleball court, pavilion, accessible route. That's all pretty easy to do. Not a whole lot of construction involved. Then on the north side, now that the city's acquired this property up here, that buys us a whole lot more space. So that's where we can look at doing potentially a full-size basketball court. Which would replace this, but it would give you an actual regulation size basketball court on the north side. that would have a fence around it. We would have to do some grading in here and probably a little retaining wall to make all that work. This area here, where the house is that you've already demolished, in this plan, that would just remain kind of an open lawn area for overflow grass, parking, open lawn for, you know, different park activities, for throwing a frisbee, kicking a soccer ball, that kind of thing. We're showing 5 on-street parking spaces right here along Spring Street as you come down. So those would be parking dedicated for the basketball court. And then we have a sidewalk that comes along here connecting to these additional spaces off the cul-de-sac, so that you could have additional parking here for the basketball court. And then doing a soft surface trail that would connect down to these amenities here, so that all that is connected with a walking path. This piece would just be like a mulch trail, again, as a low cost option. So that's the low end there. Any questions on that before we go to the mid-range? So looking at this medium option. All right, so starting to build on that, looking at some different things that we might be able to do. In this plan, we go ahead and get rid of the entire basketball court and actually use the existing slab from the lodge for a smaller pavilion, but also a little multi-use play court for kids that might have hopscotch or foursquare or tetherball, different games like that that you could easily do on that slab for kids to use. Parents could sit under the pavilion while their kids are playing. Teachers could sit there if the school kids are using that area. And then off to the side of that, doing a larger area. This was in the original plan where we showed 2 new pickleball courts. So that would be a new slab with the sports courts strapped on top of that. Same accessible route down to that area, so that we have a little plaza area here where all that comes together. And then that soft surface trail again up to this area. Still a full-size basketball court, parking spaces on Spring Street. Now we're starting to show potentially gravel parking here instead of just the lawn area. This shows a potential new restroom building, which could utilize the existing septic that's there from the old house. And then also adding a small community garden up on that lot to the north of Spring Street that the city owns as well. So that's kind of that mid-level plan, and then looking at the high-end plan. And we don't have any specific cost estimates for any of this stuff yet, so we don't know the magnitude of the different costs, but we could start to explore that. I just wanted to get an idea of the direction that we wanted to go in first.
So this is the one that we all like.
Okay.
This one here, even if we have to back in the paving.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at what I gave you. It'll say William Taylor 5724, and it just makes a few changes there as far as like parking. Eliminate the parking here on the street, and then just use this parking down here, is what he's saying. And then these would just be this parking in this curve here would just be for ADA compliant. Is that correct, William? I don't know what you talk about.
I just took your components and rearranged the chairs on the deck a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't particularly like the parking up at the basketball goal, simply because that road's already substandard anyway.
I know, it's a narrow road.
Right straight across from the houses, so I just figured you can back that out without, because you're gonna pick up what you've got down in the cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
The bathroom, love that idea. But I said, it's just take a couple of your components, figured shoot for the bigger garden, because eventually we do the city hall and probably just move the garden down there. So
Right.
I just cut and pasted a couple of yours.
Okay.
A different idea.
Yeah, I think all that is fine. What we actually could do that may make more sense is to do the, let's see, we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16. So we would need, if we took these away, we would only need one accessible parking space. We could actually do that here near the restroom and still have sidewalk access either way.
Yeah, I just threw it in the curb, figured that was kind of flat, it where grade and access would work out. Just to
Yeah,
have-
so we would need to make sure, obviously, with the grading plan, where that would work.
I think I actually left the gravel to start with, thinking
Okay.
that again, that
Depending on, depending
Yeah,
on
but I
the gravel,
really
depending on
believe,
cost.
I think that's why I put it down there, because
Uh-huh.
then I changed the orientation of the sidewalk a little bit to make access to the bathroom.
Okay.
If the grade worked.
Yeah.
It's just looking at a flat piece of
So
paper.
this one that you gave me didn't have his notes on.
And so what he was also looking at is maybe taking the up where the community garden is at, taking these spots out, expanding the garden even more,
Yeah.
and just having a small gray area where you could pull over and unload at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because that's overkill on the parking
Mm-hmm.
for our city.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, and
Yeah,
it makes it really pretty, but we could use it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
make better use of
Typically,
it.
everybody wants as much parking as they can possibly get.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love that idea of expanding that and taking these out. And you could even do like if you
left a loading zone there, I believe, didn't you, on the one? Yeah. Like I said, I just cut and pasted your
yeah.
pieces.
Right. And that was the intent of having these different three options. We could take bits and pieces from each, but if we expanded this garden down a little bit to get another row of beds in there, you could still have a pull-off area. It wouldn't be full parking spaces, but
Yeah.
you could have that area there
Just
for
throw a
loading.
drawing and shoot the loading zone.
So that's really easy to do. And then, yeah, I think if you want to keep that as gravel for now, we could do the accessible space here. I think we can make all that work without too much trouble.
Yeah, the parking up on the road, like I said, that being not a
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's such a narrow
Little tight.
road. Yeah.
two-way traffic
Yeah.
going in there and cars.
And the other change that William had that is, he likes this here, the small pavilion with the, or shelter, whatever you want to call that could be, and then making a bigger pavilion
Doing a
here to
bigger
the
one
side, yeah. So
Or
which,
you could flip it too, it's not knowing the dimensions. I didn't know if that area you had shown for the pavilion, I mean, that could even be your pickleball court, and you could have a nicer pavilion down at the farther end.
You talking about doing the pickleball court here?
No, the one
Here.
that you got the pavilion shown there, I didn't know what dimensions that was.
I think it's flatter down here, so it would be less grading, because it's, that land kind of.
Well, you already got the asphalt surface there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Big for, I didn't know, again, I didn't know what dimensions you were able to do, of course, I don't even know what the dimensions of the pickleball court are either.
The 20 by 44 plus the 10.
All I know
foot.
is they're dangerous and people get hurt. Firemen love to have accidents.
Yeah. So the only challenge here with the existing basketball court, which we've talked about from the beginning, is the stream buffer.
Well, yeah, I was just saying,
So-
so you showed
Yeah,
cutting it down. to
we
the
could still
pavilion
keep,
size.
we could still do the bigger pavilion here, and you could have 2 pavilions, and that would be fine.
I thought the one that ends up on the concrete slab could even, for like you said, for people to sit under watching the kids play or whatever, could just be a shade structure or something like that.
Yeah.
And just,
That could be a shade sail.
Yeah, and I don't know
It
if
could
you
be a
guys,
smaller, yeah.
but he kept this one for the kids and then did a shade structure here, and then right up in this corner, I think he moved moved this down a little bit, the
That's
sidewalk.
from the other plan.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
he
we
just
can do that.
cut and pasted the pavilion there.
Mhm.
It still leaves it within inside that buffer.
Yep, we could do that.
yeah, even if you just left the slab there to begin with, you could do the pavilion later, go ahead and cut it down to
Yeah.
that size.
Yep, and you could
Instead of
certainly do
phasing
the pavilion
things in.
later. Yeah, this will be an easy thing to phase, for sure.
The other thing, and I didn't see it on yours, William, but I like the idea of taking the sidewalk on around right here to connect rather than doing a soft surface, so we don't have to come back and do it later. This gets really,
Yeah, that was just hard to cut and paste.
Yeah.
So yeah.
yeah,
that's-
there you go.
Yeah.
So this gets really, it can get really damp and,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and
It's like the lowest spot.
Yeah, it is.
Soggy.
Yeah, that's good.
Like I said, that was just rearranging the
You did a
the
great
chairs
job.
he put on the deck there.
I was impressed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so,
So yeah, we'll keep the sidewalk,
mhm,
do the smaller pavilion with the sports court, larger pavilion here,
mhm.
the 2 pickleball here, parking with, we'll figure out the accessible parking
Yeah,
space.
depending on how your grade works out, that could get moved around.
Yeah, yeah. Expand the garden, we'll get rid of these. And then the only other question, which isn't on here, is would you want to make this connection across the creek with a little bridge?
I think it'd be kind of cool.
It would be a neat feature. It also provides this loop, which people like a lot for, if you've got kids playing here, maybe mom wants to take a little walk around
Well, with that being the 25, would you have to go soft surface?
No, we can get a variance for that. If you're doing a perpendicular crossing for public access for these types of facilities, you can get a stream buffer variance. We just have to mitigate the amount of area that we disturb in here, which, fancy way of saying, we'd have to come in and plant some native shrubs along the creek, which we would probably want to do anyway.
I think Ball Ground did that. I went and looked at theirs where they had a storm drain that's it's not quite as big as ours or as deep, but they went in and I think you've probably seen that one in Ball Ground. Have you seen the one with Duck Pond? They rip wrapped it, but they went in with native plants, and they're starting to grow up now. So it creates that habitat. It's really it's nice.
Yeah. So once you clean it up, I think we'd want to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would just be a variance that we would handle through permit. We do stream buffer variances all the time, but I think that would be a really nice connection, and that gives you a stronger connection for sure between all of this. If people want to park here, they can park here specifically to use this if they wanted to, and it's just an easier route to get there.
And I think that when we talked to, the other thing is we wanted to focus on amenities. We want to we want to do the cost estimate, but we want to focus on amenities, and then we get back into, say, the bathroom. We can look and see where we are with parking. We have some other options coming out of, that's Cherokee, but I believe because it's the greater good for the city, I can get commingling with both counties on that. So
Like the area for the garden, you wouldn't actually have to do anything with that
Right.
to begin with, because we've still got the other garden for now. But
Right.
that may never even be used if the other one stays where it's at.
So I'm gonna get this stuff right along School Street.
Yeah. So I think the priorities would then really be this and this. And then it's a matter of how much you can do with the
And some-
available funds.
Some
you
of
can-
our sidewalks.
Some of the sidewalks, for sure.
You could go, your accessible path down, we do the cut for the cutting the asphalt down to get it out as part of the cleanup and leave what's left, because kids can play on that until you get ready to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got the other slab, you decide if you want to do a shade sail or something like it in the play area, because I remember that was a good idea. I think Sue had about the games for the little kids.
Yeah, I like that.
Then you could start with the soft surface to get the grade and everything, then come back and do the concrete later, get your 2 courts in. You're gonna do a gravel parking there, working parking up there, so yeah, you could start down there and work that way.
Yeah, you could do a big chunk. For, not a whole lot, not a whole lot, relatively speaking, everything costs a ridiculous amount of money these days. But you've got some really good stuff to work with here, so.
I think I went back and looked at our survey that you submitted, and I think everything on here is, the garden ad was great, and we've had good participation there. The bathroom, which was brought up by council, is on here, so, I think it meets everything that
Cool.
the people wanted anyway.
That's what we want. That's why we do this. So what we can do, depending on how the process needs to work, I can just do another quick update sketch with all these revisions so that you have the actual final plan that everybody likes. then you guys can vote on that. We can get you a proposal for CDs, or we can do a phasing plan or cost estimating, however you all want to do that.
So you guys, if we would, we'd like to move on it.
Okay.
So, if you could get us the new, rendering and then get us the cost for CDs, we could go ahead and get those maybe if you could get them to us by the August meeting, we could go ahead and get that voted on.
Okay.
So rendering and then the CD cost.
Okay. Absolutely.
Is that, you have a big green area with a bridge that goes around everything. Can that be used for picnics, maybe movie?
So that area right there, if you,
Down
that
here.
circle, do you see the circle right there? That's the fabricated head wall. So it gets really damp in there. So that's the only
Because we
problem.
have a lot for kids. But do we have,
They can play on that, but I mean, it would be when it was dry. Otherwise, it, like, your shoes sink down. So,
I'm just looking for something more for families.
yeah, we've got the
Right.
top place up here, where the trout house is at. See the top, where the railroad tracks goes up at the top there? And then you've got the sidewalk.
Here.
Yeah, so that's gonna be green space, and you can put that's gonna be shady too, so you can put picnic tables out there.
And Trout's place is very level too,
It
all the way
is.
back to
Okay.
the creek.
And they got some nice
You gotta figure out what to do
trees.
with that water. Which comes out from under the railroad
I
track.
think it's gonna be fixed with our storm drain project.
You reckon?
Yeah, we talked to Barry about it. I got another meeting with him, by the way, and I'll cover it in our report, but, yeah. But I love that idea, so, and, you know.
And then it's possible that a section of that buffer area is open, just grass, not planted with trees or anything. 50 feet's a pretty wide area. You're not required to vegetate the whole thing, you're just required to protect it, not disturb it, and if you do disturb it, you need to fix it back. But there's nothing that precludes, a lot of that area from being grass there too. And then the other part of it is the opposite side where the ballpark is. In the original plan for that area, that whole field we had designed originally to be kind of an event field for movies on the green, for city events, that sort of thing, with a big walking path around that, with some shaded seating around the upper area.
Can I just,
Any questions?
from the very beginning, can this please be a tennis court? They can also be pickleball courts instead of just pickleball courts.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think about that. So,
And the whole
Yeah.
point of me, when we were talking about buying these properties, sorry, I'm sick, was to have, because pickleball was the #1 thing. And you can't have pickleball tournaments unless you have 4 pickleball courts. So,
can this be what she's asking us is, can this be a multi-use court with tennis and pickleball stamped in it?
It certainly can be. Tennis court is bigger than the 2 pickleball courts that are shown there. We had that on one of the original concepts.
we did.
So we could revisit that. I mean, it would be, you can easily get 2 pickleball courts on a tennis court. You can't really feasibly get 3.
That's okay.
But the tennis court is bigger than 2 pickleball courts. So it would take up more space here, and we just have to make sure that all that would work from a construction standpoint. I don't see any reason right now that would be an issue. In terms of getting 4,
How big is a full basketball court? It looks big.
it's they're typically about 45 feet wide by 110 feet long, I think. So a pickleball court is 44 feet long, so that essentially fits in the width of a basketball court.
Right.
So you could get probably 3 pickleball courts on a
How big
basketball.
is a tennis court?
A tennis court is I think it's actually longer than basketball, but it's not as wide. So it's deceivingly large.
Yeah.
In my head, I don't ever think of tennis courts as being that big, but
Mhm.
when you overlay them where you're showing pickleball, it's actually a big court.
Yeah, I know you can fit 2 pickleball courts on a tennis court
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
I mean, with a space in between.
Right. Where the net
Where
would
the
be
net
for
would
the
be,
tennis.
because then you
Right.
do it,
Yep. And that
instead of
works
this
out.
way, you
right.
do it that way, and that works out great.
That works out great.
Because you can still have all the lines and it's not
Mhm.
confusing.
Right. So do we want to do that here? Show a tennis court with 2 pickleball?
Yeah, see what you can do with that.
Okay.
I mean, a multi-use court, there's gonna be people that play both, so, you know, especially your younger kids are doing tennis now in school, so. And pickleball too, but I guess our college folks.
And then this, what we can do with the basketball court is we can, at least at the conceptual level, we can show you what it looks like if we overlay some pickleball courts on that basketball court.
Interesting.
So that, you know, you can do that if and when you wanted to down the road. If we want to build a basketball court here, you would know how many pickleball courts you could set up, so that, you know,
That would be very smart.
if
You do, again, know nothing about pickleball, know nothing about tennis. When you use a tennis court multi-use for pickleball, do you use the same net?
Mm-mm.
no,
You're going in a different
Shifts
direction.
direction.
Mhm.
yeah. So if we did a tennis court here, your net for tennis would be this way.
So
and
it
you
would have to be
you would-
taken down and other nets put up.
They just leave the net
No.
for tennis.
Use it
Yeah.
for like the divider.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Because your pickleball courts would then be going this way. So these courts would turn this way
Gotcha.
and they would spread out, and your net for tennis would be in between.
And they usually,
So
you
they
got the
switch
lines
back
for
and forth.
tennis, and then,
If you had a couple of people who wanted to play tennis and 4 people show up and want to play pickleball at the same time, it's like, okay, you have a tennis match, then you take your stuff up. And now it's time, you know, have a pickleball match, back and forth. That's my only fear with multi-use.
Yeah.
Is you
So
got people
it's-
showing up wanting to do the same thing in the same space at the same time.
Yeah. And it's a management
Mhm.
issue that you'll have to figure out a good way to deal with, depending on the demand.
Yeah, we online sign up, there's things, we have, Pam could manage a spreadsheet online too if we
Mhm.
needed, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There's, I mean, a lot of people are doing that. Fewer people are playing tennis, and way more people are playing pickleball. And a lot of cities are converting their tennis courts into pickleball. And a number of them are keeping the tennis courts in place for the people that do want to play tennis, but they're striping everything for pickleball so that they can do both. I don't know if I've seen it on top of basketball before. That might get a little confusing with all the different lines.
Well, I worry
at
about
that
the-
tree, they just took all their outside courts and made them into pickleball courts. I think they had
Who did?
that tree. The only tennis, they have 2 indoor tennis, they have 2 outdoor clay tennis, and all of the regular outdoor tennis, which I think was 4 courts, are all pickleball now. That's how big pickleball is there.
That's what we're seeing everywhere. We're
Yeah.
doing 2 pickleball
And
complexes.
it's young, old, it's every age now.
Yeah,
It used to just be more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How do you manage the nets? I mean, are there sleeves in the slab that you put
There would
the
be
plugs over?
there would be sleeves with they have sleeves with caps. And the net, the pickleball nets. If you're having it with tennis, the pickleball nets would have to come up.
Mhm.
The tennis net would stay.
Yeah, it stays. And now at that tree they have, it's almost like it looks portable. I mean, it doesn't go into the court. You know what I mean? It has it's
Yeah.
pretty sturdy though, but they just pull it out and
Well,
then put it back.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you might have an option for that
like
too.
that, yeah, because you're not running into the, with pickleball, it's more chill than
Right.
tennis.
I was more worried about people running and playing tennis or basketball and tripping over a hub in the ground.
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, if they have an option for
Mhm.
that, then that's even better. You may also end up needing to think about if you have to store the nets somewhere
That's what I
if
was
they're not
thinking
being
too.
used.
If you're doing something where you gotta check it out or whatever, then
Yeah.
4 o'clock, nobody's here,
Yeah.
so which one need to be set up?
Right.
Most people, believe it or not, are taking their own, they have their own, the pickleball paddles
Oh,
with
yes.
lovely covers is a whole thing
Oh, yeah.
now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
their whole, and they take their whole everything, they have their nets,
And
everything.
maybe after a certain time, the tennis net stays
Yeah.
up, and if you're gonna play
Oh,
pickleball, you show up with your own
it's a
stuff
whole
and set
thing.
it up after.
I was just looking at this
Yeah.
thing here,
They're
and
very
it's
serious
roughly,
about
I just did the scale there, but it's roughly, if we changed this up a little bit, you probably could get that in this spot. It just, you're gonna have to change up the kid area a little bit.
It was there originally, when there was a tennis court here, what was happening next to it?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember.
That was still there, right?
I think it was.
It was a pavilion or
I
something?
think we had
Maybe?
a seating area
Mhm.
with some of the game. I think we were using the concrete.
Because that
for the
was
game
staying,
court.
that's,
Yeah, I
because
think that
that's
was
the
there,
pad, right?
Plus the tennis court. Yeah. Yeah,
Is
that's
this
the pad for the lodge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
So, well,
Oh, it
that's just, that's the two pickleball
Mhm,
courts, so
pickleball.
that's not tennis.
so, but that would have been over, so this was still there, that was a little half basketball?
no, yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
where the lodge
That's where the
was,
lodge.
right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, it just came over a little bit more, because that stayed.
Mhm.
And then
That's
that was
what I'm
like a
thinking of.
pavilion.
I was just looking at, it was roughly.
It'd be
a third.
nice to have somewhere, like, to sit
Yeah.
covered, you know what I mean? Because people like to watch, and especially if you've got a little kid thing here,
Yeah.
then you're gonna want to sit under something.
We're gonna let you
Okay.
work your magic.
We will do it. That's all great input. And if anything else comes up, any other questions or ideas, just shoot us an email. Probably gonna take us probably by the end of next week to get a revised sketch. And we'll send that up to you.
Gotcha. Any more questions from Michael, from you guys? So revised sketch and then a cost estimate for the CD.
For CDs, yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good to see everybody.
Kind of looks bad.
Thank We looked at Weaves, so again, instead of just doing pickleball, probably we're gonna revamp this area and make it, tennis court. It was, yeah, this is the slab. So he's gonna revamp this a little bit and do a, tennis court, with pickleball courts in it. And then this will be this covered area, but this here will be a, a bigger pavilion. And then right here is the stream. And he's gonna, this is the sidewalk, and it'll come off here and go like this.
Like,
Cross like this, and there'll be another sidewalk.
learn
With a bridge that goes across this. This will end up being, whenever we can do all the sidewalk, sidewalk projects and connect different.
Oh, yeah.
So he's taking this parking out, and he says it's too near.
Thank you.
Sure. Good to see everybody.
This parking we can back into, this bathroom we can back into, this parking will go away, and the community room will be expanded, and there will be an unloading area here.
Okay,
This parking will stay.
looks good to me.
That's what I thought, so he's gonna get us, a rendering within the next couple weeks, for us to put on the agenda, and then a CD, cost for CDs.
Okay.
Hey, how are
So
you?
we'll do 20-minute break.
Yeah, y'all got a little break in between. Oh, we got, I can't, where's mine at? I think you took mine. You have our yours? Okay. All right, next up, so that was Michael Kidd. Next up is municipal elected officials, requirements for holding office, representation of both counties within the city. So, I want to open that up for discussion. Right now, the way that we have things is we have 5 seats at large. We don't have posts, and we have 2 counties represented, but we have 5 people on council that are all in Pickens County. So I've gotten several calls about that. Laurel Lake folks, mostly one from inside here. So I want to open it as a discussion. I'd like to open it up. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, at one time, we did that, but I don't know what caused it to fall through. But it fell through for some reason.
I think when I looked into this a year ago, somebody brought it up a year ago. And there was something in the minutes about having seats where you had seats on Cherokee side, seats on, 2 seats on Cherokee, 2 seats on Pickens, and then 1 at large. So even whenever we do our stuff with the county for our voting stuff, they ask what posts. So we don't have posts. So it's something that maybe we do need to look at. So we have representation for the entire city. Or it looks as if we have representation for the entire city. So, and I opened it up with that, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Would you like to go?
I think if they wanted to run, they'd run.
Yeah.
If they don't.
Yeah, it's
So-
not like it's a giant city or anything.
I agree, it's not a giant city.
I don't really see the point in dividing that up. It just don't really make that much sense. Like you say, why they do it in the county, because you're spread out.
I wonder what difference it would make. If they're not running now, you see my
They've
point,
got
if
3
they're not
person
running
limit per
now.
side.
Well, so
People have no idea.
there's a lot of people, I've gone,
They
yeah, they have no idea they vote 2 times. I've tried to get Cherokee to let them know that the Ballground precinct, or there where they're doing that you vote for Nelson elected officials here. I've sent something out twice, did a mass mailing, hey, because they feel left out. Well, you voted, we didn't know anything about that.
Well, they have, when Stacy went to training, and she was put over the elections in Pickens, they told her that if all cities are supposed to have posts, you're supposed to have designated areas. So she had actually done her ballot like that, and then found out because our charter states it's at large, and we had a charter change, so she had it revised before the actual election kicked in. And that's what they're telling the officials now as they're coming through, that you're supposed to have posts for wards.
I don't know if that's a state law, and I'll take that on myself to look that up, or if that's something that's in the state code. I honestly don't know. Like I said, this was new. I said I would put it on the agenda, and I've done it.
What does their charter say about elections?
It's basically that you live in the city for 1 year, and I think you cannot have a felony.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
But it's at large.
So,
Opposed.
do you know that Cherokee not even know? They know that they're in the city.
It's not just Laurel Lake.
I didn't
It's
know until I was on the
Yeah.
ballot.
it's even people that live in Oak Nelson. Did you know you were supposed to vote here?
I always come here and vote, but I hope you didn't vote 2 weeks ago because we didn't come. Did
No,
you?
I haven't.
Oh, you know that, yeah, we come here every time after we go to the Ball Ground Library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, see, that's the problem with it.
You have to-
They go lost,
Right,
yeah.
then they got to turn around and come back up.
And there's
here
nothing
vote.
telling people to do that. I mean, we've tried to, because I'll get phone calls, nobody told me to go vote there. Nobody told me to vote there.
So if you
I sent
had,
out 2 flyers
if you,
the last 2 years.
okay, if you had it as posts, would they only vote once? Would they still have to vote twice?
It's
You
still
still
like
have
it
to
is
vote
now.
twice.
It ain't gonna change that.
You're not going to change
There
it?
was no
Yeah.
representation from both counties. I think
Now,
Susan and I were.
when
last
we
week.
vote here, we don't get what's on the Ball Ground.
Exactly.
We only get
Right.
who's coming in.
Same for
here.
me.
That's
I'm on
all.
the Cherokee
So
side.
that's how we know that there's an election for here.
I lived here for 30 years, and until probably 6 years before I ended up running for this position, I had no idea. I did not know, I had a ball ground address, I thought I lived in ball ground. I told everybody I lived in ball ground, but I in fact live inside the city of Nelson, so. And now that we've got our, I think a lot of it too, our signs, which those are the ugliest signs, by the way, y'all. Those pink marks on the wall. That say, welcome to the city of Nelson. People are noticing that, and I had a lady just moved here from Valdosta. She's in the service. She moved into Laurel Lake, and she called me. She got my number from Paula Campbell, and she said, do I live in Nelson or do I live in Ball Ground? I've been told both, and I said, you live inside the city of Nelson, you have a Ball Ground address. And she said,
I get this call all the time.
yeah, how does that work? And I said, you're part of the city of Nelson, it's the same as any other city.
It's all just told them they have a post office, but it's not a post office.
It's not for delivery, you can have a mailbox there if you live inside the
I deal with
city.
it all the time at work. People think they live in Woodstock and they don't.
Yeah,
I get calls all the time, saying, no, you're in Holly Springs, or you're in Cherokee County at large, because they have a Woodstock address.
yeah.
It's all postal.
And then, when we had,
Try
back
to
when we
find
had our.
Laurel Hills.
Yeah, try to find Mosville. Back when we had our town hall meeting, I had a ton of calls regarding, I didn't know that, we got a survey for that, but we don't live we don't live in Nelson. Yes, you do. So it's just a re-education thing, and I'm gonna get the Mayor's Corner back open and hopefully get it on the website, and then send a couple of flyers out, so we can just let people know and they can feel informed. But I will check on, I'll check and see what GMA says about the election post when I'm there in a couple of weeks and find that out. I'm hearing it,
People in
I
the
want you to hear it.
post, if you have to make posts, do the people in the post only vote for their representative, or do they vote for all 5?
I think they can vote, you can vote for anybody you want to vote for.
It reminds me of the Board of Education thing, because like Sue Finley is in our post, but I voted for all, I vote for all the posts.
The
So
votes at large
I don't
that
really
they have.
understand what the point of a post is if you can still, you see what I'm saying? Like if you're still voting for all of them anyway.
So it has to do with feeling like your section has adequate representation.
That may be the question asked then, is not necessarily, could you, it depends on the legality of all of it anyway, could you create the post and then after the at-large election say, okay, you're now post 1. Post 1, here's your representative. Post 2, here's your representative. Post 3,
Who makes the post
that would be,
circle, you know?
That would probably be administrative, but I can check, so post created after
so I
election
guess
as
you would
opposed
take
to,
probably works off of population. You try to
Right.
divide it up and draw lines and the
Right.
5.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's like, because it's an election, if that's state, you know what I'm
Well, what
saying?
you do is say,
It
we'll
sounds
say
like
by
you're
population,
messing
Laurel Lake's a
districts.
post by itself, but nobody wants to run. What do?
yeah,
Right.
that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what would
Take
happen
our
in that
Ridge
case.
Tip Road, and there's Nelson Ridge.
Yeah, you got Nelson Oak, Nelson Ridge, you got Dogwood, that's in Cherokee.
Well, Dogwood's part Cherokee.
Darn it, oh, Port Cherokee, there you have it.
That's two posts.
We have,
Seems like what probably works for me.
well, it
Do
is,
what?
it is and it isn't, Nathan. The thing about it is that if you have to listen to folks' concerns, I mean, because we represent them. So that's the only thing that we're doing here today is, hey, can we do something? Can we do it better? Are we operating the way we should be? And if not, how can we fix it? So, and that's the first thing, looking at our charter. I'll get with somebody at GMA, talk to them about posts and stuff like that. And then, I will,
I think either way, no matter what, the communication is the thing. They need to know. They have obviously don't know, so we need to, whatever it is, a newsletter or whatever it is, just over and over and over. That's how people
Well, that's the other thing too, is you got somebody out there who's complaining about it, then they need to make sure they've got neighbors in their post that wanna run for office.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
like, this is your address, this is where you vote, and this is where you vote again, and this is what it's for. You know, I mean, to every address, that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
I sent two of it though. I've got, and I still have
well,
them in
I
there.
mean, you can only make people listen to what you make. I mean, you know, if they read it, they do, if they don't, you know.
And then,
Some people aren't even interested, you know.
and then the other
I said
thing,
there'd be times like the primary, the Cherokee County resident have no reason to come over here anyway.
Yeah, I
It would
didn't
only
know.
be during our, pretty much our city council elections, wouldn't it? This is really the only time a Cherokee County resident would come
Yeah,
here to
that's
vote.
it. And it's like, you're just not told that, and the only reason I did.
yeah,
was
to
when I
vote,
was on
yeah.
ballot. I voted in Cherokee County, didn't see any different, I actually came down when Miranda was here, and I'm like, what the heck's going on?
You have to come here just basically
Well,
for
our-
our election.
Instead of like.
because our city hall sits in Pickens County.
Correct.
So that's the thing. And then, the other thing that, I don't, do we know what our charter lays? I know we have a nepotism clause. We're a big enough city now. Do we want to have family members run for council? Do we want, like, for example, if I'm on council, would we want Samantha to be on council, my daughter? I think it could get into an ethics issue.
Exactly.
I say we're going with it now. It's making a big circle.
Do what?
I don't
I see where
know,
it's going back to.
would that technically be nepotism? Because there's,
Well, here's,
Yeah,
it's
if you're
a,
not
sign.
basically a majority, no.
like you being the mayor, you wouldn't be able to assign your daughter to be a council member. The citizens still have to vote on it.
exactly.
So I don't know if it would even, I've heard that word used before in that situation.
The
I don't know
question
if
was
it would
brought
be
up when me and my dad ran together and we saw it.
It was by multiple people. The thing about it is, and if you're an elected official, you're elected by the people.
Yeah.
So there is that. And it's like Russia Patel said, he said yesterday, there is things you can do, but should you do it? You know, so if your city is big enough to run without immediate family members, should you do it?
I know what they told us at school about when I was, like if you had two brothers on the council, one of them has got to stand himself and leave the room while the other does the business, you know.
I've heard that, in certain cases, yes, but it's usually when there's finance, usually when it has to do with financial matters, because then it becomes a ethics board and it can go to court and all kinds of stuff, so.
If there's a direct conflict, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so, or if you have an interest in something, or it's
Business interests.
business interest, or anything, or even if you, that's it, that's if,
And that even goes
Anything.
back to, you don't have to. You should,
yeah.
but you don't have to.
Well, you don't have to, but if you don't, and a judge thinks you should have, then there's felonies and fines and all kinds of things that can be levied against you. So it's what can you get away with? I mean, there's certain things we have immunity, and I think what was said yesterday is it goes back, everything in the state that the state puts out as far as the OCGA goes back to financial, you know, when it comes to ethics and things like that, so. But I'll take this back to the GMA and just have a conversation with them.
If we're legal the way we're doing it, I'd be fine with leaving it the way it is.
Okay. James?
I'm okay with that.
You're gonna have to try to get a candidate from 5 different areas. If nobody runs, what's the, that would be the next question, what's the,
Yeah, what would,
or God forbid you get the one person that may qualify to run, but
yeah,
may not be the greatest candidate who gets the job simply because, and then at that point, you're literally taking the vote away.
yeah, by 2 votes, yeah. That's true.
They could win with 1 vote,
Mhm.
so, unless it's an at-large. But even then, they would still be, would that be the only candidate that's electable to fill that post, even if it is an at-large? elections still.
And like I said again, I think it goes into, there's laws that change every day. I haven't looked at it. I said I would put it on our agenda, and I have, and I want to make sure that it's a topic that we have a conversation about.
And that may be
And in
something-
public, because I think it's important that people know that we have had.
But maybe a question to ask too is if you can assign the post, if it's an at-large election, you break the city up into, in this case, it'd be 5 areas. So,
Yeah,
okay,
I
you're
think
the-
what
You're the
I-
representative for post 1, no matter where you live, you're that post representative, might be an avenue to explore.
So what I did is I put on here just, can the post be created after election as opposed to prior to? So, and like I said, I don't know the law on that. I don't know much about elections.
We got attorneys sitting out of our, you ought to be able to like that.
Yeah, sure.
Look at him, yeah, sure. He's working at it, he got that smart. Well, I won't say that, I mean, that was disrespectful. I'm sorry. I mean, you
About that
started.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure
I
there
don't
was.
have it memorized off the top of my
I
head.
apologize.
We could always look into it.
What I meant is you probably haven't run across that.
No, I have not.
I feel better then. And John, I'll go ahead and get your thoughts on it.
To me, it seems that it's a matter of communication. I mean, if people don't know if they belong to us or not, and if we have all the different districts, we can go on. I just think if we communicate and everyone feels represented, then that should be taken care of.
Okay. Chrissy?
Yeah, I mean, when I ran, I literally went to every house in Laurel Lake and put
I know you did.
every single house. So every single person in there knew that they needed to come here and vote for me for city council. So at some point, some people know. So
Yeah.
I think we just need to, and again, there are people that are not going to care.
There are.
No matter how many times you tell them, they're not going to care. So, but for the people that do and don't know, I think it's very important that we let them know.
Yeah, and I thought about things I could do to help inform people. I think sending out.
Maybe like when we're voting, like a banner or something over
Yeah.
at your entrance, or you know what I mean? Hey, you need
Even-
to go vote now, send them.
Not just
you know,
that,
every day.
but I mean,
Or
at
do
the
you have any
entrances of the
kind
city.
do you have like an internal, you know, like we have our Winchester
We
page
do.
or whatever?
Yeah.
Again, you know,
Where's the ball ground? Is that the library?
Well, now they're doing it at the Methodist building.
It depends on how which
It's at the library,
election.
yes. It's still the church.
Still the library, okay, it's back at the library now.
They don't have to take
And
this
see if we can put a sign down there
Yes.
that, hey, there is a City of Nelson election also.
Yes.
Let me check, make a note, check with the election board, send an email and ask if there's any, because signs are just, it's a
Right.
weird thing. So ask if there's any issue with putting a sign for Nelson residents to vote in.
Not just at the entrance of the library.
Is there a way to talk to the Cherokee Board of Elections to get Nelson put on?
I've tried and they
right.
can't.
And they said no.
They can't because the
The
city,
city.
because the city hall is inside the Pickens County, we chose to go with Pickens County for our elections. So we're the furthest most part of the Pickens County for people to come in and vote, and Ball Ground is considered the furthest most part of Cherokee for them to go in.
But it's also polling precinct for residents,
Yeah.
not just in Nelson, it's surrounding areas.
So, I mean, me personally, I think it's important that our people's voices are heard, and that's important. So I'll take this and take it as an action item for me while I'm in Savannah and have those conversations. I'll bring that back. And in the meantime, you guys take a look at what our charter says about elections, and you know.
You may want to put some verbiage in there too, because we've had people run that had criminal records, and granted it was first time felony things that were white, but there have been other issues, I guess. I don't want to say too much.
See, at one time, that was my job, 20 years.
You know what,
And take them
I'll
off the
ask
book.
them if, you know, they have a lot of
But I have-
ordinances and stuff regarding stuff like this. Let me see if they have anything, and we can bash it against our own. I mean, I know at some point our council will have to look at our charter. We've got redundancies in there, we've got old laws in there that needs to be updated. The GMA updates those for us, so we're gonna have to take that on as a task at some point, probably sooner rather than later with things changing the way they are. And, you know, I'll do that. I know we need to update our ethics board certification, our ethics board ordinance. They're changing that this year, so that'll be an ordinance change for us. And then I'll ask for model election ordinance. Anybody think of anything else?
I like what William said about putting a sign down Cherokee County side.
We'll go ahead and send a thing to the,
Right out from
Yeah.
there, remember election time or whatever, so it always reminds them.
I like that too. And I mean, we can do a better job at noting it on our websites and our Facebook page in the cities. I am working on doing a mayor's corner where we just do updates on our projects and some pictures and things like that. So I'm hoping by September we'll have that up and running.
Can we legally put all of that or spend, we can't buy signs or anything that has to do with the election, right?
No,
It's not election, this is
Just for candidates, okay.
Yeah, just
But-
vote for, telling people that if you live within, we can list it on there, Laurel Lake, Nelson Oaks, Nelson Ridge, you know, vote for your elected officials at the city of Nelson City Hall, or Nelson City Hall. So see if that's doable, if we can put that down there, some type of signage.
I know that's for candidates, you can't.
Yeah.
I don't think you could advertise the candidates. Just say
That-
remember, you have another polling place.
Yeah,
You can't, like, if you have like T-SPOS or SPOS or any of that, you can't
Push to do it.
promote it
Yeah.
per se.
okay. All right, so any more chat about the election business, or we covered there for right now? All right, can I make a motion, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
James, second.
Second.
Nathan, all in favor?